The flooding tunnel's over that ridge. We'll get in that way.
What was your job when you were based here?
Sanitation.
Sanitation? Then how do you know how to disable the shields?
I don't. I'm just here to get Ray.
People are counting on us. The galaxy is counting on us.
Solo, we'll figure it out. We'll use the Force.
That's not how the Force works. Oh, really? You're cold?
Come on.
You've never heard of the Millennium Falcon? Should I have? It's a ship that made the Kessel run in less than 12 parsecs.
Hey everyone, and welcome to Kessel Run Weekly. My name is Danny.
And I'm Kristen.
And this week, we actually have some really exciting news.
We're desperate for anything you can tell us.
All right, so this week, we actually got some news with the comics that are supposed to be coming out here in this December. So, San Diego Comic-Con, there was a publishing panel where they announced the Age of Republic, Age of Rebellion, and Age of Resistance storylines that they're going to do that spans all across the saga. And so, a couple things. We have the names of the comic stories that are going to be coming out.
Mm-hmm.
And we know now that they're coming out in December, which is really, really exciting.
Yes. I'm pretty on board with this. I think we're getting some really interesting comics. And
Absolutely.
And I'm normally not one for the comics nor the books, really and truly.
Mm-hmm.
And
we'll change you yet.
I mean, I've read a couple of the comics, and I've enjoyed
to the dark side.
I've enjoyed the few that I've read, but I'm not a comic girl very much. But I think I honestly will pick a few of these up and read them.
Oh, absolutely. So what do we got as far as the Age of Republic?
So for Age of the Republic, we're gonna get Qui-Gon Jinn, Darth Maul, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Jango Fett, Anakin Skywalker, Count Dooku, Padme Amidala, and General Grievous.
Ooh, that's exciting.
Yes.
I'm really excited and intrigued by the Qui-Gon Jinn one, because we don't get a whole lot about him. Like, we get a lot or a decent amount in Phantom Menace. It's the only time we've been introduced to him. He shows up in the Clone Wars, but I wonder how they're going to expand that, because all of these are supposed to tie in together too.
Ooh, really?
So it's like a mega series kind of thing. So I don't know how it's going to tie in, but that's my understanding of it. And so I think I'm really excited about that. So Qui-Gon, General Grievous, and the Anakin Skywalker one too. So I'm wondering if we're going to get more adventures, and we got an Obi-Wan as well, so more adventures with Anakin and Obi-Wan, and get a little deepening to that relationship.
Possibly.
And maybe some inner thoughts of Mr. Skywalker.
Maybe.
That's
honestly, I think I'm going to be interested mostly in Darth Maul, Anakin, and Padme.
Oh, definitely. The Padme one's intriguing. She's never had her own comic before, which she's going to have a book come out soon too.
Oh, yeah.
Queen Shadow. And so that'll be interesting. And now she's getting some love in the comics, so that'll be really cool.
It will be. And I mean, I guess it makes sense though. If it's supposed to all tie together, then, I mean, obviously, I feel like you can't have an Anakin comic without having a Padme comic. I mean,
absolutely. No, I completely agree with you. So our next one, the Age of Rebellion, so our original trilogy era, we have Lando Calrissian, Jabba the Hutt, Han Solo, exactly, Boba Fett, Luke Skywalker, Grand Moff Tarkin, Princess Leia Organa, and Darth Vader.
Ooh.
Thoughts, Kristen?
So, first off, my giggle. I'm just wondering how Jabba the Hutt's going to have, like, what's going to happen? Is it going to be like in Huttese?
It's going to be like
Whatever.
11 pages of him just going, oh.
I'm just like wondering, are they just going to put it in English, or are they going to put it like in a weird...
to.
In like, is
Huttese,
Did I say it right?
yeah.
Huttese? Okay.
Yeah.
I wonder if they're going to put it like in Huttese first, and then it's going to have like English subtitles.
That'll be weird.
I know, it would be.
They kind of did something similar with the Chewbacca stories. They actually have a Chewbacca comic line. And it was he was paired with somebody, obviously. So it wasn't entirely translated, but it was basically him being him. And they're going, yeah, Chewie, you're right. Kind of stuff like that. So I don't see Jabba being anyone's sidekick or having a sidekick, unless this is like a Jabba and Salacious Crumb team up.
I don't know. I just know that's going to be really...
that's going to be really funny.
Yeah. Either way, it's going to be pretty funny. Other than that, though, I think I'm pretty interested in Han, in Princess Leia, and then Vader.
Okay.
So, Danny, do you have any thoughts on this Age of Rebellion so far?
I'm really excited about the Tarkin one.
I figured.
Like, I don't know. Like, I like the stories that are not common. Because, I mean, I love the Vader line that they're doing right now. That storyline is awesome. It's so cool. It's strange. It's my kind of Star Wars, that weird Star Wars and everything.
Weird Star Wars.
And so, I don't know. I feel like I'm going to get something cool from Tarkin. I hope. I'm hoping it's not something stupid. But Tarkin and I think probably Han and Vader were probably going to be my ones. Maybe Boba Fett. Maybe Boba.
I thought maybe you were going to say Luke.
No, well, see, I don't have anything against Luke, but, like, even going through our saga rewatch, like, he's not a character at the forefront for me. I like Luke, but I don't know, just never really related to him the same way as some other characters.
Yeah, I might pick up that Lando one. I think it just depends.
Oh, definitely.
I think it's going to depend on what era we get of Lando. Are we going to get young Lando, or are we going to get...
Well, with it being Age of Rebellion, I would imagine it'd have to be like, and it doesn't specify, probably between A New Hope and Return of the Jedi, but how much can you really tell, though? So, I mean, we don't get him until Empire Strikes Back, so maybe we see what he's doing before then?
Maybe.
So, I don't know.
Oh, well, we'll figure it out. It'll come out in December, and we'll see.
Definitely.
So, moving on to the next one, though, we have the Star Wars Age of Resistance, which is like the newer films.
The sequel trilogy.
Uh-huh. So, we have Poe Dameron, Supreme Leader Snoke, Finn, Captain Phasma. She's still alive. Rose Tico. Well, I guess she didn't have to be, sorry. General Hux, Rey, and then Kylo Ren. So, I guess this could be like...
So, are we reigniting the whole Who is Snoke again?
I mean, honestly, I'm not even going to be mad. Maybe they'll just finally tell us or something.
Yeah.
So, I'm not really... I know this is going to sound really bad, but I don't think I want to read a single one of those.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, if anything, maybe Supreme Leader Snoke, but I'd rather just get the Cliff Notes.
Get the Cliff Notes.
Like, it ain't even that deep for me to pick up a comic and read it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I really don't think I care about...
Any of them? Okay.
Which is kind of weird for me to feel like to say that, because...
You cared so much about the other ones.
No, not even that.
Okay.
But I like the newer movies better, but I don't like the characters as much.
That's interesting. We'll have to dive into that a little bit in our main topic.
I'm not saying I hate the characters.
Yeah.
I'm just, I don't know, with the older ones, I guess maybe because we've had so many more movies and all the characters have been pretty consistent in a way.
Okay.
So...
We'll definitely dive into that side of that.
We'll eventually.
Personally, I'm excited because, I mean, I liked the Poe Dameron comics that they just had. Like, I just finished them. There were some issues that were better than others, and some were just like, I'm powering through so I don't miss some of the story. So I didn't feel like it was very consistent, but at the same time, I enjoyed it. So, I mean, the Poe Dameron one, it will be cool, but my main ones I'm really excited about are Supreme Leader Snoke, Rey, and Kylo Ren.
I'll let you tell me about Supreme Leader then.
I'm just interested to find out what kind of lore we're going to find out about him, because if it's about Kylo, do we get young Ben? Do we find out more of what happened at that Jedi Temple, or how Snoke was getting his fangs in him? You know what I mean?
You're right.
So there's a lot of story to be had there, and I feel like that's something that a lot of people have a complaint with the sequel trilogy on, is that there's not enough backstory, but the mystery's there for a reason. So who knows what we're going to actually have in 9 and all that kind of stuff. So I don't know. I think it'll be pretty exciting.
True. I mean, so I feel like it depends. It depends on what's going to happen here. If it's not some like random side quest that has nothing to do with it, I probably won't read it. But if it actually draws in and ties in.
Like the Phasma comics.
You being serious?
Like the actual Phasma. Yeah. No, I'm dead serious. So the whole Journey to Last Jedi Captain Phasma ones, it was showing you how she survived Starkiller Base. And basically, it's just that she got out of the trash compactor, found a ship, left on said ship, found the people who knew that she pushed the button to lower the shields, killed them, killed the pilot that took her to the people who knew about that, and then she came back like nothing happened. It was a roundabout way of saying she's still alive and she survived.
Right. Like,
you learned next to nothing about her. Like all it was showing how brutal she is, and it's like, cool, but
okay,
it was a little much. So I was just kind of like, it was just nah.
I might just start off with those Cliff Notes.
But yeah, I'm hoping that they're better. I am really excited about, especially Rey, because Rey really hasn't had a role in any of the comics or anything like that. So who knows what else? I know your feelings on Rey. We'll get to that. But I don't know. I'm interested to know more about her. I think it'd be cool to get a little bit deeper story with her. Find out what's going on.
Maybe. Just maybe. They'll finally tell us who our freaking parents are. It's killing me, Star Wars. It's killing me.
You're nothing. Well, not to me.
Gosh. No, you're still holding on. Let go.
I love that we're quoting that one, and that's not even the one that we're talking about today.
No, I know, but it's still really funny.
It's very quotable.
It is. That part's probably my favorite part, just because he's like, no.
So in other news, so we actually got a little bit more look at Resistance. Star Wars Resistance coming up. So in, what was it, a couple weeks ago, I think, is when we got our Meet Team Fireball, little kind of short thing.
Yes.
And now we have Meet Team Aces.
The Aces are a group of pilots among the best in the galaxy.
There are 5 of the top pilots on the platform who are hired to protect the base.
All pilots to your stations.
But when there aren't any threats, they just race for fun.
So the Aces are supposed to be the pilots who kind of guard this platform place thing, but when there's no fight to be had, they race, and they're all like the stars. And what did you think of it?
I have a question.
Okay.
There's 2 different teams?
Yeah. Team Fireball and Team Aces.
Totally just caught that. I have not been keeping up with this very well. The only thing I can tell you for sure is it comes out October 7th.
Hey, there you go.
Hey, watch that be wrong. I'm just kidding.
And you're like, I'll be there when it comes on.
Right. But I haven't really kept up with it. I guess I don't really want to spoil anything, or I don't want to get, I guess, too excited, and I'm not going to say it's going to let me down because it's not meant for me. So either way, I'm going to enjoy it.
Oh, definitely, yeah. You enjoy it for what it is. Yeah.
Yeah. But I guess on top of that, too, I don't want to, like, sell it short and be like, no, that just doesn't look like something I'm going to like. I think I'd rather just, skip it. But I think that's what I'm trying to avoid.
Well, as we can see with The Last Jedi, expectations are the enemy of a Star Wars fan.
Mm-hmm.
So...
You're right. So that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm trying not to expect anything. So I think the best way for me not to expect anything is just to not, like, dive deep into it. Like, right now. Like, don't dig into the trailers. Don't dig into the storyline. You know what I mean? Like, just wait till it comes out, watch it, then have your feelings.
It's like asking me not to breathe.
Well, you can watch it. You're fine. I don't care what you do.
No, I mean, as far as like the impressions of the Meet Team Aces that came out and everything, like, so with the Team Fireball short, I thought it was cool. It was interesting to see the animation in action and that style and stuff like that. I didn't hate it. I was still not like blown away or anything like that, but it was still like cool. Yeah, I'll watch it. I'll give it a try. With the Team Aces one though, just the characters that they brought in and stuff like that, I'm kind of excited about it.
Yeah, these characters look really...
they got a lot more personality.
They do. They're really, like I was going to say, they seem really pumped up.
Yeah.
And I like that.
I'm really excited about Donald Faison's character, Hype Faison, Rodian.
Hey, everybody, look who it is. Oh, you know who it is. Hype is the best pilot on the platform.
He's a little cocky. He's a little full of himself.
He's got a lot of sponsors on his ship and on his uniform, so you can kind of get that straight away. Like, he's just in this for the glamour.
Hype Faison!
But then you start to see he actually cares about his fellow racers because they all play a part in what's going to happen in the future.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Cool.
Yeah.
I like that they're having more than just like humans as pilots, because I feel like I think we've seen a few in the movies, but not many. Like, I would say, honestly, I'd say at least maybe 8 or 9 out of 10 pilots you see throughout the movies are like human ones. There's not any other species.
And they do better about that in the sequel trilogy.
I've noticed that's what
in Force Awakens. Yeah, there's a lot of different alien species that are the pilots.
Right, I was gonna say that. And here recently, I do know they've thrown a few in there. But I still think the humans probably outweigh just because of the older movies. So I think this is gonna be really good. And it seems like they're really trying to expand their horizons, I guess.
Absolutely. Well, and that's the thing, is that it's a really large universe. There's a lot of different species.
Right.
So for it to be namely humans all the time is unrealistic, I feel. And so I'm really excited that they're bringing in Rhodians, and we even get a Keldor, which is the species that Plo Koon is, which I think is really cool. Now, they didn't flat out say that, but that's straight up, like, his name's Bo Keevil. Plo Koon, Bo Keevil. There's a trend. There's a trend. And then on top of that, this design, like, it looks like it's supposed to be like a solid helmet, but it's not. Because if you look at how Plo Koon, how it's attached, how his little breathing apparatus is attached, it's the same way as this guy. And so I'm fairly certain that he's a Keldor, which is really cool to see another, because we've never seen another.
Yeah.
Plo Koon's the only one we've ever seen.
Right.
So.
That is really exciting.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be really cool.
What did you think of Griff, the retired Imperial TIE pilot?
Hi, I'm Steven Stanton, and I play an ex-Imperial TIE fighter pilot by the name of Griff Halloran.
He's got a lot of his old original gear. It's all fallen apart at this point. He's just got this modded out TIE fighter.
He's a little rough around the edges. Griff's not a guy that you want to cross.
Everyone leaves him alone because he's just kind of the brooding guy who just is in the corners there.
He's still out there looking for that one last great battle.
He's interesting. I'm really interested in kind of what his character's like, I guess. Mm-hmm. Which, I mean, they kind of describe him. They say he's kind of like a brute guy who just kind of sits
grumpy
back.
Old man.
Kind of, essentially. But I don't know. I think he's going to have a cool story to tell.
I think so, too.
So
it's a unique perspective that we don't get. Because, the Empire fell, but that also means that a lot of the people who were employed by said Empire are no longer with the Empire.
Right.
And that's what it is with this guy. He's got a modded tie, which looks freaking killer.
It does.
Like, it looks awesome. So I'm really excited about his character. And then on top of that, his TIE pilot helmet. It's got a daggum skull painted on it.
Not only that, he's still got the uniform tag.
Still got the uniform,
yeah. Raggedy. It's falling apart a little bit, but it's still overall really cool.
Right. So he looks kind of like that ex-military kind of guy who is just kind of trying to find work after war, basically.
Pretty much.
So I'm interested to see if his allegiance still lies with the Empire, if it was just a job, like, what kind of character is he? He's the one that interests me, I think, the most, because there's a lot of conflict there, I think. Or could be.
Could be.
So,
potential conflict. I don't see him being still wanting to be part of the Empire, nor like the First Order, because even though technically the Empire fell, I mean, the First Order rose, and he has to know this. I'm sure somebody.
I mean, that could provide for some interesting storytelling too, though. If he decides that the First Order was right, or something like that, or goes back to his old ways of being an Imperial, kind of things like that. So I don't know that they would go that route, but I think it's interesting that he is the character that he is.
Yeah,
that it's an interesting choice to go. Yeah, you're an ex-TIE pilot of all things, and it's just like, ooh, okay. So I think that's really, really exciting. But yeah, him and Hype Phazon, I think, are the ones that I'm looking forward to the most.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about Hype. I think he's gonna be a really cool character.
Cool. So I think that's all of our news. Did you have anything else you wanted to say about the Resistance short?
No. I think I said my piece.
Cool. So if you're ready, I say we go ahead and get into our main topic.
And now, our feature presentation.
Main topic.
Yes. So continuing with our Saga rewatch, we are talking The Force Awakens.
Yes, we sure are.
Yes.
Yay.
So that was the other option for our poll last week between Rogue One and Force Awakens, and as promised, we are talking The Force Awakens. So for me, this one, and I got to see the prequel trilogy in theaters, so it wasn't necessarily a first-time experience or anything. But with this one, we got to see it actually at the McWayne Center IMAX Dome, which was really intense.
It was very cool.
It was one of those, like, you can't really get the whole picture. Well, for one, it's an entire dome and it's all around you.
Right.
So there's that. So you're looking left to right.
Yeah, and TIE fighters were like flying behind you. So,
but it was a cool experience though, because it kind of put you in the middle of the movie, which was really neat. But I remember just being so sucked in to the whole thing.
Yeah.
The opening sequence to it, I think, is one of the coolest opening sequences to Star Wars. I really do. With the whole First Order coming in, all that kind of stuff. The intro of Kylo. Kylo's little banter between him and Lor San Tekka. with the whole "you cannot deny your family. You're so right." Like, Kylo was freaking crazy cool when he came out, and especially, I mean, holding a blaster bolt. Like, come on, never before seen in Star Wars, and dude just turn around having conversations. It's nothing. He's just going to hold it right there as long as he possibly can and everything. But I just thought that was like the coolest opening sequence. And just overall, the movie, I loved it. Yeah. It was a huge fan service. Still is. But, I mean, if we're being honest, it was A New Hope reskinned. But at the same time, though, I really, really enjoyed it. It's one of my favorites.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's deep, Danny.
Yeah.
For me,
what about you?
Oh, let's say for me, this is actually the first Star Wars movie I got to watch in theaters. So I feel like I appreciate it more now than I did watching it in theaters, because at that point I was not like fully caught up. I think we may have honestly watched the movies.
We did, but you were powering through them so you could watch the movie.
Right, like I think we watched like 2 a day or something crazy. I don't know.
Yeah.
Either way, we watched them really quick, and I didn't pay hardly any attention because I just really didn't get into them up in here till recently. Mm-hmm. So for me, The Force Awakens was, I mean, it was a really good movie. It was very action packed. Had a lot of great moments in it. I don't know. It made me. That one and the Rogue One really made me want to like dive back into the old ones.
Yeah.
Plus, kind of watching Clone Wars and Rebels and stuff really helped too, because there's just so many things you're like, wait, I know about this, or wait, we've met him before. You know what I mean? Like just certain things like that that kind of pop back up, and you're like, wait. So it definitely made me want to dive deeper into those movies. So. I really like The Force Awakens, so I wouldn't say it's my favorite movie, but I guess it kind of kickstarted everything.
It did. It did. It gave you a reason to have to go through and watch Star Wars and all that kind of stuff, and then gave you kind of a want to know more, which is really, really neat.
Yeah.
But I don't know, like, I just really enjoyed it because of all the new themes that it kind of brought in. First off, one of the things, I mean, the humanizing of the stormtroopers, really right out of the gate, with Finn and his brother-in-arms right next to him, dying, all that kind of stuff, and then Finn being that humanized stormtrooper.
Which was crazy, too, because we realized that Poe
was the one that fired the shot.
Yeah, was the one that shot Finn's friend.
Yep. And kind of really brought it to light for Finn, because that's when Finn starts to freak out. He's just like, oh gosh, which I would too, having blood on my helmet of someone else. So, I mean, like, it was an intense scene. Like, it's not something that you've ever seen in Star Wars. And I liked that about it. Because even though, yes, there were a lot of familiar themes, and again, like I said earlier, it was kind of like A New Hope reskinned, the familiarity didn't ruin it for me at all. It helped me get back into it, because I mean, you got to think that this has been a long time coming, where Star Wars, there's not been a movie. I think, what was it, 2006, I think, is when Revenge of the Sith came out, something like that. So I
want to say 4, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, I think 4 was Attack of the Clones, sometime around there. I don't know. But I'm pretty sure 2006 was the last time there was a Star Wars movie. And so it's been some time. This is 2015. So almost 10 years later, and we get new Star Wars, which is really cool. And so I think it was really cool that this movie just so easily just brought everything back. I mean, even down to the part where Rey and Finn are escaping, and we're like, we're not going to take the garbage. Wait, the garbage will do. And then they turn around and it's there. Yeah. Like, I was just so engrossed in the movie that now I'm like, yeah, they're totally talking about the Falcon. Like, of course. But in the movie, I was just like, what are they talking about? Like, what is
that
this?
That one's garbage.
Yeah, I was totally into it. And then when it happened, I was just like freaking out. I was like, yes.
I'm pretty sure I got smacked there too. Any exciting moment in Star Wars that I've been in the theater with Danny, I get smacked. He just starts wailing. He's like, no! He starts freaking out, and I'm like, dude, chill. Like, I'm gonna have to wear like football padding or something.
Put together a kit to protect you.
Yeah. Shoulder pads, elbow pads.
my gosh.
Those knee pads.
Helmet's important.
Helmet is very important.
But anyways. But I mean, I don't know. There were just so many exciting moments down to the Chewie were home, all that kind of stuff. I think that's what's really cool about this movie is it just brings back so many memories.
It does.
I don't know. What did you think?
Well, as someone who flew through the first 6 movies to get here, not here now, but here then. Mm-hmm. Let's flash back to 2015. I don't know. I didn't have a lot of opinions on it then, but I mean, now it's just there's just certain scenes now that I'm just like, oh, I love them, or oh, this makes me cry, or this is so funny because I mean, I don't know. I don't really want to get into the realness of it, but I like Finn in this movie, but I don't like Finn in The Last Jedi.
Okay.
So it's like he just kind of changes, and
we're definitely going to dive into that. That's going to be our next episode.
I know, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't want to get too into it, but there's certain
it's hard not to though, because it's like they're companion movies. They literally happen one after another, with no time in between. So
well, I mean, so here's the thing too. I'm just going to say this really quick.
Okay.
I feel like, and I can tell you why I think he's like this, but I feel like from this movie he's got a lot more hope, and he's just like. Well, sometimes.
Okay.
Sometimes he's like, we can't take down the First Order. Are you crazy? They'll slaughter us, you know? But I feel like he's got a lot more hope into it, and he feels like he can do it because he believes in himself and he believes in the people around him.
Okay.
For some reason, The Last Jedi, to me, it feels like it's just straight revenge. Which, I mean, it could have something to do with the fact that this starting to do with the lightsaber slashed his back up.
A little bit.
So I'm not saying like it's
I wouldn't be happy
for.
with him either.
I'm not saying it's uncalled for, but I just feel like he's got this like almost like streak of revenge in The Last Jedi, and it's just like it doesn't matter what it cost him. He's gonna try to destroy the First Order no matter what.
Yeah,
and I don't like that. So
there's your preview of our next week's episode.
Tune in.
Let's talk about Finn in The Force Awakens here now. So I like that you talked about how he seems full of hope and things like that, and it's something that we pointed out while we were watching it with Finn and Rey.
Yeah,
where especially the moment where they get blasted by a tie bolt. Basically, a laser bolt,
and they go. Her hand.
Yeah, he keeps grabbing her hand. I love that. Stop grabbing my hand.
I know how to run without you holding my hands.
I love that so much. But the part where he gets knocked out for a second, then he comes up and she's like, Finn, and the first thing he says is, "Are you okay?" And she kind of looks at him like, "Well, yeah." But what's cool is in the novel, it goes a little bit more into what she was thinking at the time. No one has ever asked that. Right. No one has ever taken that kind of care for her, and so that was a really important moment for them. Right. Now, also in the novel, there's a few times where it kind of hints at that there's probably a romantic relationship, but I don't feel that way about it.
No, I don't either. That's what I was gonna say. I mean, in the movie, there's a few moments where like you kind of get the vibe that there might be a little bit more than friendship there, but I mean, at the same time, like you know, I know we talked about. I mean, Finn's been with the First Order his whole life. It's not like he's ever had interest in girls.
Or
Rey,
actual friends.
Right. And then Rey's been stuck on Jakku probably since she can remember, really. And we see that flashback, and I wouldn't say she's maybe 5 to 7 years old, if even. So, I mean, it's not like anyone on Jakku is really, you know.
It's like finding that first friend in your entire life. And they found each other.
And of course, it's a boy and a girl. There's going to be some type of tension. Like, I feel like it'd be more weird if there wasn't. You know what I mean? If there wasn't some pin at like...
Well, and I got more of the friend, too, when he's talking about... It's after she conks him in the face with her staff. For, quote, stealing the jacket. Which I love that. Because he's like running. He's like, I'm going to get away. And then she's just like... jacked him right in the face. But it's the part where she's like, "Are you with the Resistance?" And somebody's like, "Yeah, I'm with the Resistance. I'm with the Resistance. This is what we look like. Well, some of us."
Right.
And everything kind of like just stumbling over his words and everything. And if you look, and it's ever so slight, but the way Daisy really plays it, like she looks like she's trying to hold back a laugh at him. like kind of like, bro, you're embarrassing yourself. Calm down.
Right.
But it's kind of like at the same time, she's excited to meet a resistance fighter for the first time, and I think that's really cool. Like their chemistry is just awesome.
Yeah,
and
it is.
I'm really excited to see what's going to happen with them in 9 because they do have a special relationship. It's like both of them got to see a different world together. They got to experience all this together.
Right.
He got away from the First Order that kept him from everything, and he's never known anything else. And she got off the planet that she was pretty much chained to.
Right.
So, I mean, that's big experiences.
In this movie, she feels like she still has to go back to because somebody's going to come back for her.
Yeah.
Breaks my heart.
Yeah.
But you're right. I mean, there's definitely an unbreakable bond there. I mean, it's a relationship that she's not going to have with anybody else. And, I mean, just to be honest, I really hope it doesn't turn romantic because I don't feel like that's what it is. I feel like people will take it that way because they're not thinking about the full spectrum of, like we said, like what they've experienced together.
Yeah.
So
Ray don't need no man.
Right. And I don't know. I mean, every female's had like a male companion. I feel like I'm not saying like, oh, Ray should be a single woman forever because she's a smart, confident woman and she can do whatever she wants. She's powerful. I'm not saying like she's got to be forever alone. I'm just saying like I want her to find herself before she finds someone else.
Absolutely.
Because she's definitely still doing that.
Well, and that's the journey that I think she's sent on in the next movie.
Right, exactly.
And it starts here with Luke's lightsaber and everything. So, I mean, I think that she has her path set out and she knows where she's going. It's just a matter of where does Finn fit in that. And so Finn obviously cares for her, but I feel like he cares for her more as a friend and close companion more than just, oh, you're pretty. Right. Well, he does hint at that at one point in The Falcon. He's like, you got a boyfriend? Cute boyfriend?
I know he does. It's really funny that he's curious about it. So,
yeah.
Like I said, there's a few moments where you're like,
I mean, it's kind of the equivalent of Anakin hitting on Padme, though.
It is, though. When you really think about it, it is. I dream about you. Oh, slow down, buddy.
Every day, I'm in complete torment. I'm tortured by the thought of you.
Oh my gosh, you're ridiculous.
So at least he's not like creepy level like that.
I mean, true. True.
Yeah. But I mean, in all honesty, it's kind of the same thing. Like, Anakin didn't know how to hit on a woman. He didn't know how to flirt.
Right.
And that's why he came off as a super creeper when he's trying to describe these feelings that he doesn't understand.
Right.
And it's kind of the same thing with Finn. Like, and he says that, they're raised to do one thing.
Right.
In the First Order. And so now there's something else. He has an option, and that's a whole new world for him.
It is.
So...
And he doesn't really know how to interact with women.
No, he does not.
Pretty girls make him melt. So, which is very funny.
Yeah. But I love the relationship and everything, too. I think it's really cool. I'm actually excited to see what comes of Finn, as far as in Episode 9 and everything. Because I share some of your concerns, I guess, that happened in The Last Jedi. And we'll get into
we'll
that.
Get to that next week.
Yeah, we'll get into that next week. It's really hard not to now.
All you want to do
because they're so close in story. Yeah,
they are. I mean, they really are. It's almost like one day later,
right?
And it's like
1 hour later, we gotta get off the ship.
Right. It feels like it happens right there together.
Yeah.
But
and that's the thing is, I feel like Finn's got a lot of growing to do, and a lot of it doesn't translate well, only because I don't feel like it's really fully conveyed and fully told as far as his story goes. There's more to him.
Right.
And it's hard to kind of think of that even though he was in this great First Order with all these people around him, that he may have been devoid of human interaction.
Right.
Because even when he takes off his helmet after he freaks out on Jakku and all that kind of stuff, when he's in front of Phasma, and she's like, who told you to take off the helmet? All that kind of stuff. She mentions to Hux later that he was to report to her division for reconditioning. And so they're trained and reconditioned a certain way. And for one, that's interesting to me.
Yeah, that is
because that process, I don't know, that seems pretty dark. But just to kind of, I don't know, I'd like to know more about how that happens.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's reconditioning, that means they're only basically bred to do one thing and one thing only, and you stay in the lines and you don't go anywhere else. Otherwise, you're in reconditioning, all this other kind of stuff, and no prior nonconformity is the kind of terms that she uses and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So it's interesting seeing Finn discover worlds for the first time.
Yeah.
And then how he chooses fear over a lot of it, because he knows what the First Order is capable of.
He does, and I mean, and we see in The Force Awakens, at first all he wants to do is just run away.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's all he wants to do is just run.
And Rey's just appalled that he does.
Right.
It's like she just doesn't understand. You should want to fight back. You should want to do this. And he's just like, no. I've seen what they can do. Yeah. I was literally on the ground next to people doing the things that I'm warning you about.
Right. But I'm excited to dive into The Last Jedi and kind of talk our way through that too, because I think we're going to have a lot of jumping back and forth between.
I feel like that one's the one where for once we may not agree. Maybe.
We'll see. I feel like, I don't know. I guess let me get this out here, because I'm really excited about episode 9. Mostly because I feel like people have been so hard on The Last Jedi. I'm not going to sit here and say, oh my gosh, it's the best movie Star Wars has ever created.
What are you talking about? It's a masterpiece. No, I'm just kidding.
It is a masterpiece. But at the same time, like, I feel like if you just sat down and watched one of the older movies, like, just pick one. Just draw one out of a hat and watch it. I feel like you'd be like, what the heck?
Exactly.
Because it wasn't meant to be a standalone movie. There's more story to be told. There's more that's going to happen. It only had a certain amount of time. It had to put something together. And
you're judging the middle of a book.
Literally. Like, pick up a book and go read the middle of it, or read the end of it, and then tell me it was a great book.
Exactly.
You can't, because you have no idea.
Man, I really love the middle half.
So it's like, you just got to think, and those movies came in 3s. So
it's a wait and see at this point.
It is. I mean, there's going to be more. Things are going to get closed up. And like I said, I know it's not the most amazing movie in the world, but I think once we get in episode 9, I think a lot of things will come together for us, and it'll all make sense. And then it'll be like, oh, we like these 3 movies.
Right.
Like, they do make sense now. Like, be patient.
So moving on from Finn, because I think we've said a lot.
Yeah. Can I move on to somebody?
Go ahead.
Who are you going to?
I was going to say Rey, but who do you want to talk about?
I want to talk about Kylo.
Let's talk about Kylo.
Okay.
We can talk about Rey next.
Okay.
So let's talk about Kylo.
So, to me, in this movie, I feel like he's really built up in the beginning. Because he comes in, he's a really strong entrance, he's really cool, and they takes his helmet off and he's a little boy. Yes, Snoke. What do you read, Master Snoke? It's me, Kylo. No, I'm just kidding. But I mean, I don't know. Like, he comes off really strong and really powerful, and then the next thing you know, he's like throwing his lightsaber around, causing temper tantrums. And
see, it took me out of it when he took his helmet off. The tantrums didn't bother me. That was more of a, oh gosh, like, obviously uncontrolled rage, which is a Skywalker trait.
Seeing the movie for the first time, I could say I was kind of like, oh my.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
after learning who he is and stuff, I feel like you look back and you're like,
it's reduced to just a tantrum.
It is.
Yeah.
To me, it is anyway.
Yeah. I can agree with that. But yeah, I remember watching it in the theater, and it did take me out of it when I saw his face, and I was just kind of like, okay. So, like, my first thought was wannabe, because he's going through talking about grandfather, show me the dark side, all this other kind of stuff, and he's idolizing Vader and all this other kind of stuff, which we find out later is because of the pressure that's put on him by Snoke. But as far as, like, it literally just wannabe is the only term that keeps coming in. Not that he's not powerful, because he's extremely powerful, and as he likes to remind Rey, very creepily like, he can take whatever he wants.
Oh my gosh.
So, and that's the thing, is like, so, I mean, he's a kid. And I feel like that's important to the story, though. Because, so, we have seen him develop a little bit and things like that. But in this, it was more of like she said, that this is what happens when she's being hunted by a monster in a mask, and that's when he takes it off, and all of a sudden she kind of has this look like, what the heck? Like, I was expecting you to look all jacked up and all this other kind of stuff, but you're a boy, you're a teenager. I mean, for a lack of a better term, he's like pretty. I mean, really.
Why are you hiding under that mask? Just take it off more often.
well, he removes the tunic later, but
I know.
Oh my god.
Just kidding.
But I think that's interesting that they went with that choice, because that's the way I felt about Kylo, is that he's trying to be something that everyone else wants him to be. He's trying to be what Snoke has told him he should be, not necessarily what he can be or wants to be. And so that's why towards the end, when he has this confrontation with Han, where I honestly feel like, even though he ended up turning on his own father, I feel like that speech he gave before that, where he was talking about, I'm being torn apart, and I don't know what to do. I honestly feel like that was heartfelt. I think that was real. It's just that he made a different decision.
Yeah, I think so too, because I know we've talked about that scene a lot. And we speculated. I was like, you know what? I think Han knew that he had to die in order to continue, because Kylo's an undercover agent. Like, he's a spy.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
I forgot about all those theories.
We came up with so many things. Because I just remember
us and our wild theories.
I mean, it's fine. You can have all the wild theories you want. I don't really care. But it's just, the more I watch it, the more I'm like, no, Kylo was intending to do that the entire time.
You think he was intending that from the beginning?
Yeah, well, not maybe at the very beginning, but definitely when it hit that scene, for sure. And I think before that, he knew he had to do that, because that was something that Snoke had kind of pressured on him, and he was like, the droids on the Millennium Falcon with Han Solo.
Oh, he stoked those fires, yeah.
Exactly, and he was like this, he didn't say this per se, but he essentially was trying to say, like, this is going to be like your greatest trial, in a way.
He
like,
set it up for him.
How are you going to deal with this? Like,
right.
Like, you know you're going to have to kill your father.
Prove your worth.
Right, essentially, like, if this is what you want to do, you have to prove to me that you're willing to go the extra step. And that's exactly that conflict that Kylo faced on that bridge with his father.
Bridges aren't good for the Skywalkers.
No, they're not. They need to stay off them. That's exactly what happened. He was like, I know what I have to do, but I don't know. He says something, I think. I don't remember the exact line of it, but
he goes through saying how he feels like he's being torn apart.
Yes,
because
he knows he has to make. Yeah, he knows he has to kill his father. So, and I think that's why he's kind of playing it, and he's trying to make it seem like, and Han's trying to think too, okay, well, he's like, come home, we miss you. And he's thinking that he's about to hand him his lightsaber over, and they're just going to walk off the bridge together and be all fine, hunky-dory little family again.
Wouldn't that have been the happy ending?
So great. I think Kylo wouldn't have become the villain he is. It would have been a really weird turnaround.
Right.
Like, it would have been like, oh, look, we got this big, look at that baddie over there. And then he just turns good. Like, this wouldn't make sense.
Yeah.
So, it sucks. Didn't want Han to die, obviously, but...
Oh, no. When it happened, like, I cried. Like, I'm not even gonna try to act manly. I cried.
Oh, I know you did,
because that I remember you looking over at me and be like, are you okay? And I was like, shut up.
I know, I'm not gonna lie, I was a little mean. I kind of did make fun of you a little bit,
yeah.
But I also didn't have that relationship like you did with those characters then.
Right.
Because like I said, we literally rushed through the movies in order to get me caught up in a way, but at the same time, we went through them so quick and I just wasn't paying attention that I just didn't have that
now you're the one that's getting emotional.
I don't know what you're talking about. Star Wars has never made me cry.
Three truths and a lie. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, so I mean, in talking about that, so actually something which is interesting since we watched Rogue One last week and everything, it was something that I pointed out. Now, Granted, yes, they're sucking in the sun for Starkiller or whatever, and it gets darker because of that. But I thought it was interesting because one thing that Chirrut mentions about Cassian when he goes up to kill Galen, he's like, did he have the face of a killer? And he's like, no, it was the face of a friend. And Jin was like, well, why are you asking that? And he said, well, the Force moves darkly around a creature about to kill. And literally seconds before he ignited that lightsaber, Kylo ignited that lightsaber and killed Han, it got really dark.
It did.
And I thought that was really...
Yeah. And it just was like dark and quiet and creepy. And,
yeah.
I mean, I feel like I've noticed that before, but I noticed it so much more when we watched that movie, when we watched Rogue One, and he said that, and we were like, oh, what an interesting theory.
Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh. So...
Yeah. Which, I mean, it's probably nothing, but at the same time, I think it's interesting and it's kind of cool.
I mean, honestly, it probably is just a coincidence.
Yeah.
I bet the people, if anyone from the actual Star Wars ever, listened to us.
Of course Lucasfilm listens to us.
Of course they do. I just feel like if whoever, kind of wrote that scene and got it all together, I feel like if he heard us say what we just did, I think he'd be like...
Totally. Yep. That's what I meant.
Yeah, I didn't realize that. You know what I mean? I feel like it's just pure coincidence. And
it's cool to think about.
Moment,
yeah,
and that's what it was meant to do, but it just happened to fall in line with something.
And the worst part about that entire moment is Chewie. That is what killed me, because I was shocked when Han was stabbed, but Chewie's scream immediately after, that is what broke my heart.
Yeah,
I was just like, oh my gosh. One thing I want to ask you, because we kind of briefly talked about it while we were watching the movie. So why do you think Chewie didn't get the kill shot? Other than that, obviously, Kylo needed to be a character in the other movies. Not talking about convenient story plot, but why do you feel like he might have not gone for the kill shot? Because we see him kill 5 stormtroopers, one shot kill after he hits Kylo with the bowcaster.
Right.
So why? What do you think?
I mean, I know it's hard to say because, of course, as Han's friend and companion pal, whatever you want to call him, co-pilot, he's still his son, and it's still Leia's son, and I don't know. I feel like he would have, if he would have done that, he actually would have killed him. I think Chewie would have felt really guilty.
I don't think Chewie could have done it.
I don't think he could have either. I think that's why
because he watched this kid grow.
Yeah, even if he could have, I still think he would have not taken a kill shot.
Well, and to the other side of that, we haven't really, I don't know that we've gotten a canon thing saying that Chewie was around when he was growing up, but Han and Chewie are pretty inseparable.
How could he not?
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Because I really feel like, and I know we talked about this too.
It's like you don't just ignore you scoot your best friend away because you had a kid. Yeah.
That's not what happens. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. But no, I totally agree with you. I really do think that Chewie was probably there through it all when he was born. And I would say up until he started getting mentored by Luke. And I think when things got rough there, and Luke tried to, kill him.
Yeah.
I think that's when things turned. And I think Luke wasn't, not Luke, I'm sorry. I think that Han wasn't able to forgive Luke. And Leia was. And I think that's what tore them apart. I think that's why they had to kind of split ways and do what they were best at. Because I don't think they could get along and agree on anything.
Yeah.
Because they were both mad at each other. Because she was like, why can't you just forgive Luke? And he was like, why can you? Our son's turned into this monster. You know what I mean? So I feel like that was the divide of them.
Yeah, definitely.
So,
because
Leia's canon, but that's just my opinion and theory on it.
It's Kristen's head canon.
Yeah.
Well, and I think there's validity to that because Leia has always kind of been endless hope.
She has.
She lost her entire planet, her entire civilization, her culture, all of that right before her eyes, but yet she still fights for the rebellion and still fights against the Empire and is able to carry on. It's even mentioned in the Leia comics, how they're like, oh, well, she's the Ice Queen, she's all cold and all this other kind of stuff. How can she do this when she just lost everything and everybody's worried about her not grieving and all this other kind of stuff? She's like, look, there's work to be done. This isn't the end, and this is not where the Empire is going to stop. We need to keep going so this doesn't happen again.
Right.
But I honestly feel like that conversation with Han had to have gone that way, because she was probably the one that was like, yeah, totally go train with Luke, because you're force sensitive, because you're this and all this other kind of stuff, trusted her brother Luke and everything. And probably Han was the one that was like, I don't know about that.
Right.
Because he's kind of the one that's kind of speculative.
He was. And you remember in the movies he first came in, it's funny, too, to see his turnaround with it. Because you're thinking about it, I think he was even on the Falcon, too, when Luke was learning.
Yep.
With Obi-Wan, and he was all like, I don't believe in that mumbo-jumbo kind of thing. He even said...
No match for a good blaster at your side.
Yeah, because he doesn't believe in it. He's like, the Force, that's crazy.
Yeah.
But it's actually really
just
funny.
Simple tricks. Yep.
Yeah, it's just so funny, though, thinking about it now. I forget about this. Who does he say it to? They're on the... they're on... they're on Starkiller. When they first get to Starkiller, him, Han, and Finn.
Oh, yeah.
And he's like, what did you do here? And he's like, sanitation. He was like, what? People are relying on us. He's like, we'll just use the Force. And he's like, that's not how it works. So it's like, it's funny to me because he's even though, I mean, obviously Han probably doesn't fully understand it. He understands it enough to know that
he knows it exists.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And at this point, he's not like, trying to say it's hooky spooky, whatever.
Yeah.
It's just funny to me.
I agree. I agree definitely. But yeah, I'm wondering if we will get any kind of story with Han and Leia. I know there's some stuff with bloodlines, but as far as like their split and
Kinda
everything,
what took place
in
order for that to happen.
Because she even mentions to Han in this when they're on Dakar, the Resistance base, that it was Snoke, and Snoke manipulated her son, all that kind of stuff. I'm wondering how Snoke was able to get close enough to do so.
I don't know, but I thought we realized that earlier, though, because I thought in the next movie, I thought we learned that that's why Luke tried to do that to him, is because he was being manipulated by somebody else.
No,
and
definitely.
He thought he was going to turn to the dark side.
Yeah, no, definitely. And that's the thing, is that I feel like it's almost like the mom and dad realized he was listening to too much metal music, so they sent him away to boarding school. That's what it feels like.
I mean, you're not wrong.
But that's...
You're dad, go be good.
Right. You're going to come back a man.
Right.
But,
Jedi.
I mean, we know that Snoke manipulated him and is currently manipulating him and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's an obvious thing, but my thing is, how did he get so close without Han and Leia immediately going, whoa, 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 back off. You're creepy, you're deformed, and you're crazy looking, and you're evil. Back off. So that's what I'm kind of wondering, because, I mean, so I get it with Palpatine, because Anakin had no one other than Obi-Wan.
Right.
But at the same time, Palpatine gave the illusion that he understood Anakin like no one could. And so that I understand how he got his fangs in him, but with Snoke, I'm wondering how he was able to get to Ben so easily,
I don't know.
So
maybe that's something we'll learn in these comics. Since they're all supposed to tie together, we're getting Han, Leia, and then we're getting Kylo. So maybe...
And I mean, Age of Resistance could be at any time too.
Yeah.
So any time between Force Awakens to Episode 9, I would imagine. So
I really hope, because I mean, who's to know? Really, I mean, I love to think that Han and Leia are really good parents, but they're both so driven and busy that
I was about to say
they
seem they could easily get lost in
distracted
their work.
And yeah, exactly. So who's to say Mommy and Daddy weren't home a lot? Maybe they were out doing things, and Kylo had a babysitter, and it happened to snow. No, I'm just kidding. But you know what I mean? Like
1-800 Uncle Snoke.
Right. Tell Uncle Snoke goodbye.
Oh God, no.
No, I'm just kidding. But we don't know. We don't have that story yet. So I mean, it could have been that he just didn't feel like he was wanted the way he wanted to be, or maybe he was wanted, and maybe they were overprotective, and he turned into a rebellious little butt. Like, you know what I mean? Like maybe he just got really crazy power hungry and decided he didn't want to.
Well, it's along the lines of Anakin. Somebody told him he was special and that he had the power.
Right.
So yeah, it's just a matter of playing those right strings.
Exactly.
And that's what they did.
Exactly. So, I mean, I really do hope we'll see that in the comics. Because honestly, and like you said, all these comics are supposed to tie together. So if they do, honestly, I really think I will read them.
Absolutely. No, you will. I got you. You will be converted yet.
I Okay, Danny.
Whatever you say, Danny.
So let's talk about Rey.
So with Rey, I'm just like, I'm not trying to be mean, but she's not really my favorite character.
Why's that?
I don't know. I haven't really pinpointed it yet.
Okay.
I don't really like her. She does show a lot of good qualities in this movie, a lot of strength. I guess more, I don't know. I want to say it's like, I'm more curious about her than anything, but at the same time, like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of her character for some reason. I really can't tell you why at the moment. I'm going to have to go make a pros and cons list.
So, so I kind of liken her character, or at least in the development of her character in Force Awakens, to kind of how Luke is in A New Hope. So he's the starry-eyed farm boy who annoyed the fire out of you, if we're being honest. Who was kind of like... You're never going to let that one go.
I literally won't.
But that's the thing is, so, I mean, he was immature. I feel like she's kind of in that same place. Because just like we were talking about Finn, she's seeing the world really for the first time as well. She's been on Jakku for however many scratchings on the wall she has there. She's been there for a very long time. And so it's the only life she's ever known. And then all of a sudden she's going out, because I know I've seen people making fun of her with I never knew there was so much green in the whole galaxy. I mean, that's where she's at.
Dude, she ate sand every day.
Right? She lived her life on portions.
Right, so why would you ever think there's anything more than that if you knew you're never going to leave it?
Exactly. I mean, she's essentially stuck. And so what kept her going was her endless hope for her parents to return.
Right.
That's why she was like, I have to be back there because they're going to come back. All those years, she still believed that endless hope. Still believed that he was going, that they were going to come.
I know it.
So, and that's the thing is, I feel like she's kind of the Luke character in this movie, where she's kind of feeling out the galaxy. There's a lot of new experiences, a lot of new things to be had, and I think that's why it's important that she is found by Han, and the relationship that they quickly develop and stuff like that. Which I know a lot of people, I think even us at one point were like, ooh, what if she's Han's? What if she's Han's girl or something like that? Because of the way he acts.
The way they are towards each other.
Yeah.
Like,
and even Maz is like, who's the girl? And stuff like that.
I mean,
like they lean into it.
Finish each other's sentences.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems like it's like a father-daughter kind of situation, but...
Immediately Han's like, I don't remember any illegitimate children, but...
Right. I mean, I don't see that being the situation unless something happens between him and Kira from Solo and she becomes pregnant. But at the same time, like, I don't think that's even the right age.
No.
Because at that point, I mean, she would have been much older than Kylo, and I think she's about the same age, isn't she? If not,
she's younger than Kylo.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like, it just doesn't add up.
Yeah.
And so that essentially means that around the time that he would have left, no, not even. That means essentially a few years after Kylo was born, he would have had to run off and cheated on Leia, essentially, in a way. And it's like,
no. Which, I mean, he's a scoundrel, but at the same time, I highly doubt that.
I don't think he
would do that to Leia.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, even towards the end on Force Awakens and all, like, he still genuinely loved and cared for her.
Absolutely.
So I don't see that.
I love the exchange. Yeah, I love the exchange between them before they go off to Starkiller, where she's like, "I always hated seeing you leave." And he goes, "That's why I did it."
Yeah, I know. They're still so cute.
Yeah, it's sweet. I love that.
It was just older Han and Leia. But
yeah,
they still were so.
The spark's still there.
It is, and I always loved their banter back and forth because they're just so cute.
No, definitely. But I mean, with Rey, like I think it's really cool that she found a father in Han.
Yeah,
and it comes back to again, like what we were talking about with Finn, is that they didn't have anyone. They knew no other life. They had nobody else. They relied on themselves.
Right.
And so that's why she became so self-sufficient and all that kind of stuff. And as far as her Force ability and everything, I just think that it's just a natural ability that she has. Why does the Force have to choose a Skywalker?
I mean,
I get it's the Skywalker saga, but still.
And here it is, and I'll say it again. Listen up for you people in the back. the Skywalker saga cannot continue.
Mm-hmm.
It just can't. Like, y'all, I know y'all are thinking, oh, yes, it can if Luke just would have had children, but it's like, he's a Jedi, y'all. Think about the rules of the Jedi. It can't happen. It's not supposed to happen. It shouldn't have happened with Anakin, but it technically did.
Mm-hmm.
So, unless it's just a random rule they decide to go back and erase later on, you know, like...
That's a possibility, because I honestly feel like that rule was probably put in place well after the establishment of the Jedi Order and the Force and everything. Just because, like, it's one of the... Just like Anakin says, it's contradiction. It's like you're told to love, but you're forbidden attachment.
I mean...
And with love comes a certain amount of attachment. So, I mean,
it's
a fine line.
It is a fine line, and I don't want to sound really insensitive or mean by saying this, but I feel like it's a distraction, though. Like, if you're gonna be in a Jedi,
mm-hmm.
and let's say you were called to the next town over because clankers are coming, I don't know, whatever.
Okay.
And you have to run over there and help, but then you get word that clankers are in your town.
Mm-hmm.
You're obviously not going to stay and defend where you were told to stay. You're going to want to run home and take care of your family, which I'm not saying that's wrong. I'm not saying, like, how dare you? But at the same time, then you're abandoning, like, the job that you were meant to do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Your duty.
Exactly.
What your,
so it's a fine line. Like you said, like, I'm not saying, like, you would be condemned either way. I'm just saying, like, I get why the insensitive rule was placed there.
Mm-hmm.
So I see both sides. I mean, it's really hard to say, oh, you can't love anybody, but I expect you to love everybody. From a distance.
Right.
Like, don't get too close.
Yeah.
They might smell good. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. But at the same time, like, it's like, I don't know, it's different now, though, in, like, the society we live in, too. It's like, not a lot of people, but some people do put their family on hold in order to have a career. And that's essentially what that was. It was like, you choose your career, you choose your family, and that's what it is. Because you can't.
Well, the Jedi chose it for them at a very young age, but
you're right. I'm just saying, though.
It's like, guess what? You're gonna be a Jedi.
But then it becomes a way of life. So if you don't ever think anything else outside of that, you would have no reason to want that.
True.
So.
Mm-hmm. I never knew my father.
You're ridiculous.
But yeah, I mean, in all honesty, personally with Rey, I like her character. I like the mystery around her character, and I'm interested to know more because of how intensely powerful she is with the Force and how easily it comes to her. I don't have a problem with that, like a lot of people do, for some reason. I think it's really cool because it's kind of goes back to with Anakin. It's a virgins in the Force to me.
Yeah.
Because Anakin wasn't nothing special. He was the first Skywalker. So before that, the Skywalkers were not a thing. It was just, oh, hey, I found a virgins in the Force. He might be the chosen one.
Virgin in the Force?
Virgins in the Force. You're not wrong.
I couldn't help it.
But yeah. But with that anomaly in the Force and everything, like I think that's what Rey is. I think that this awakening that Snoke asked Kylo did he feel it? There's been an awakening in the Force. Have you felt it?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's Rey, and it's so powerful that they are able to feel it. So it's not necessarily I just sense someone who is Force sensitive.
Right.
He says there is an awakening, and that's big.
Right.
It's like all of a sudden the sleeping giant's like, hey, you know what? I'm here now.
Here I am.
You poked the bear.
Right. No, I totally agree. I definitely think that I definitely agree. I think she definitely is the awakening in the Force that they feel. And I think it has a lot to do with just how powerful she is right out the gate. And that doesn't bother me. Like I said, I think what I'm trying to more so do is reserve my judgment for the next movie. Because, yeah, I'm not a huge fan of Rey right now, but it may also be that I just don't know much about her.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, she's
you
a
gotta
really
get to know her, man. Give her a chance.
I'm trying, okay? Give me episode 9. But, I mean, all we really know about her is that she was abandoned on Jakku. she jumps in the Falcon and meets a lot of cool people.
Yeah.
Fights side by side with some cool people, and then she's force sensitive and she can kick Kylo's butt.
Yeah.
So, which is cool. And I like that they have a really strong female character because
I love that she gives Kylo a run for his money, especially in the Miderini thing. Since we now know what that looks like from Battlefront 2, where they show Kylo invading Del Mico's mind, I think. Somebody's mind, but we actually see where, like, what that looks like when Kylo does his mind technique.
He's literally like in your mind, following you around. It's kind of creepy. Like,
so essentially, it ends up being that Rey turned around and goes, "No, I'm going in your head now."
Right. Like, if you haven't played that game, like I just recommend that you go at least YouTube.
Absolutely,
like that part, because it's really crazy.
Mm-hmm.
It just gives you like a whole new glimpse into like what those powers look like.
Oh yeah,
and it's something that we've never seen before.
Yeah, so. It's really cool. But I love that she can match him. Like even Snoke's like, "What? The girl bested you?
Yeah.
Like seriously?" He's like, "Whoa! No, she's strong with the Force. Right. No, she just doesn't know it yet."
I'm not incompetent, sir.
It wasn't me. It wasn't me at all. I performed.
Oh, Kylo, you little child. Of course you'd blame it on somebody else.
That's what it sounded like to me. Or it's just like, did you tear up your brother's thing? No. He did it. It was him. He was doing it. That's literally what it sounded like. He was just pushing it off on somebody else.
Right.
So
making excuses.
Exactly. Making excuses. No ownership.
Right.
But yeah, so I'm really interested to see more of that. So you said you're not wild about Finn. You're not wild about Rey. Who do you like in The Force Awakens? Like, what character do you feel drawn to that you're interested in seeing their story play out the most? I know I'm kind of putting you on the spot. I didn't prepare you for this.
You are. I don't want to sound so, like, negative, but none.
Really?
Not yet. It's the thing is, like, I got to watch the whole saga of Star Wars movies, so I got to learn and go through, like, all the ups and downs with, like, Han, Leia, Lando, Chewie, Luke, Obi-Wan. So, I mean, I have invested in them. And I think the thing is, right now, I'm just not fully invested in these characters yet. Like, I need this movie saga to finish out with whatever's happening.
Yeah.
And then I can tell you.
Okay.
That sounds kind of bad. You're like,
no, not at all.
Just pick a character, Kristen. Just like one. Just pick one.
No, I think that's interesting because, I mean, and you're right. And I think that's where a lot of people's complaints come with the sequel trilogy is that they put so much into those characters. The Obi-Wan, Luke, and Han, and Leia, and all them. Like, you invest in these characters for 6 other movies.
Right.
And then number 7 comes around and it's not about them.
Right. It's
so
not.
I get
mad
it
about that.
right.
I'm just waiting for it to all play out because I feel like I'd been in the same boat if I would have been able to watch all these movies from beginning to end, like theater wise or just, you know, when they came out. You know what I mean? Like if I didn't have every movie to sit on and just watch like I wanted to right now, I still feel like I wouldn't been as invested in like Luke because I'm pretty sure Luke probably would annoy me just as bad as Rey is right now. Honest to God. Like you said, I think they're honestly almost the same character for me, and I think once everything's done and Rey's story's over, I think I'll be fine.
Well, there's a pattern, if you've noticed, in the trilogies, that the way that Luke is in New Hope, Anakin had a version of that. He obviously turned out much different.
He did, and I like Luke now. I mean, like, Luke's, I wouldn't say he's like, he's my top 3 characters, oh my god.
Yeah.
But I mean,
you grow to respect.
Yeah, I respect it. I've grown to appreciate really all the characters. And I just need the story to finish out so that way I can just be like, you know, like.
No, it makes sense.
Exactly. That's what I just need. I just need the complete package there.
Yeah. I think I'm most excited for Rey and Kylo and whatever kind of relationship that might be. I'm not a Reylo shipper by any stretch of the imagination.
Me neither. But
I'm not wild about that, and they played up on that a lot in 8, but I'm not for that at all. I don't. Again, I'll say it again, just like I did at the beginning. Rey don't need no man. She is great the way she is on her own. I still think she needs to continue in her journey and discovering who she is in the Force. Because, just like Kylo even mentions in this movie, she's testing out her powers. She doesn't know what she's capable of.
Right.
And she's going to get into that stride. And she's going to continue and everything. But just like J.J. Abrams says, Rey and Kylo are two sides to one coin. And so I'm really interested in that story of whether that be like a yin and yang kind of thing or how they are truly connected in the Force. Because I still think that what we find out in Last Jedi and everything about Snoke connecting them, I don't feel like that's 110% true. I still feel like it's a partial truth, which is still a lie. But that's another episode.
Yeah.
But what do you think about Reylo?
I definitely am not for them being together. I was gonna say too, I'm actually okay. So if you had to make me pick a character that I'm probably most interested in for the future, would probably be honestly Kylo.
Okay.
Mainly because I'm a terrible person, and
I wasn't expecting that.
I read spoilers. I read like things that could be happening in episode 9.
Yeah.
And I found something out that I'm like, I'm not gonna say it. I'm not gonna say it because I don't want to put that pressure on y'all. And y'all be like, pause, go away, get out of my ear.
For the record, I'm sitting over here doing that same exact thing. So.
I'm really not gonna tell you. All I'm saying is something that I found really exciting, and I want to know if it happens. Is all. Like I want to know if this is the path they're gonna take with Kylo, because I found something out, and I want to know. So I'm really just more curious about him and his future than I am like invested in him, I guess.
I think he's an interesting character, even though he kind of had some odd moments in Force Awakens.
He does. I feel like he's like taken back and forth. Like 1 minute he seems really powerful, and the next minute it's like
you're a kid.
He's a kid, and then he kind of can go back to being powerful sometimes. Because it's like he kind of scares Hux, but not really at the same time.
Yeah.
So
I love their banter back and forth.
It is funny.
The last thing I want to say, I love when he's just like, well, they're obviously skilled at high treason.
Right. So
maybe he should do a clone army.
It's funny because Hux definitely. He's like he's a kid. Like I'm not putting up with this. At the same time, it's like. Dude,
it's like
he'll choke you.
Yeah,
like
right. It's like Hux is dealing with his boss's bratty kid.
Literally, and Snoke's
my daddy's got the money.
Right, and Snoke's the head of the household there. Like he's the CEO. You know, like that's exactly what's happening. And Hux just got stuck at the bottom under somebody's shoe.
Now he's babysitting.
Pretty much, but he feels like he's writing a lot of things, but then. And I like how he tries to throw Kylo under the bus a couple times. And he's like,
absolutely.
Well, Kylo thought it'd be more important to get the girl. He said we had everything we need, not to worry about the droid.
Kylo said.
Kylo said, no.
Yeah, exactly.
Kylo, no.
So I think we'll wrap it up right there. So next week we will be talking The Last Jedi.
We sure will.
Yes, the arguably most controversial Star Wars movie yet.
Yeah.
People are still talking about it. So are we. So
I'm about to say we're not much better, but
nah.
At least we're gonna put a positive spin on it.
Absolutely.
I mean, like I said, it's not my favorite movie, but I'm just waiting. I'm waiting for the end game.
Absolutely. Well, and I'm not one that I didn't hate it. I'm not. The episode is absolutely not going to be us trashing it.
No, we're not gonna have like an
because we can find value in any of it.
Right.
So
you sure can. You got to find value in Star Wars somewhere. There's
absolutely.
None of the movies are like. I mean, a lot of them are really good, but not all of them are like, oh my gosh, amazing. You know what I mean? Like, there's flaws in all of them.
Yeah.
And there's really great moments in all of them, so you just gotta find them.
Absolutely, absolutely. So guys, make sure to subscribe if you have not already. If you're watching this on YouTube or listening on iTunes, Google Play, anything like that, please subscribe so that way you don't miss an episode. And if you're on iTunes, leave us a 5-star review, please. It helps us out greatly, and we love reading them, and hopefully we'll get to read some on the show soon.
Yeah, hopefully so.
But yeah, so check us out on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter at Kessel Run Weekly. And again, subscribe. Yes. So cool, guys.
And as always, you can send us messages,
definitely.
Email us from our website. Let us know what you think about the episode, any ideas you have about The Force Awakens, or really anything that we've talked about, or anything in the future. Like, We're cool with whatever Star Wars you want to talk about.
Definitely.
As long
Absolutely.
as it's clean Star Wars and positive Star Wars.
Absolutely.
We're always up for, not necessarily a debate, because we're not going to try to prove you one way or the other. We just like to let you know how we feel about it, and we definitely don't mind you voicing what you think about it.
We love our theories and different points of view.
We do. We respect all of them, and we ask the same.
Absolutely, absolutely. So cool, guys. So thank you for listening to another episode of Kessel Run Weekly, and until next week, my name is Danny.
And I'm Kristen.
And may the Force be with you.
Always.